All righty. Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofix one, AJ. Happy Friday, December 12th, 2025. Hope you've had a great week. Hope you're ready for a great weekend as I am. But we've got a lot to talk about today. We will be getting into the whole Michigan of everything and everything that's going on with Sherrone more. Some other stuff going on in the college football world, along with the offseason and the MLB, and we'll even be talking a little pro wrestling today. Don't you worry about it. But before I go any further, do just want to take a moment, shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube, X, TikTok. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. But I think it's pretty obvious where we're going to start today, and so we're going to go ahead and start there. Sherrone Moore fired from Michigan as the head coach, and obviously this story goes a lot deeper. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning of how we got into this entire mess this week. So news comes out that Sherrone Moore is fired for cause due to inappropriate relations with a staffer. Turns out that Sherrone Moore ended up firing the executive assistant he was having the affair with, and then the assistant goes in after she is fired and reports him for everything that's happened. Fired by the AD who allegedly knew he was not mentally in the right place, not mentally all there, and still fired without any security or any HR, anything like that to kind of soften the blow or help out at all. So another kind of interesting move there. After Sherrone Moore was fired, it is being reported that he then went home to his wife and allegedly threatened to kill himself, which obviously is terrible. After that, he went from there to the ex-girlfriend's house and told the girl, quote unquote, and this is from the court today, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to make you watch. My blood is on your hands. You ruined my life. And this is per the arraignment that occurred earlier today. Not only that, and then he's arrested. He is then, not arrested, detained and put under protective custody and watch. And this is where everything starts to get a little murky. You know what I mean? There's some evidence of hush money with an increase of salary that the assistant did receive. You know what I mean? It was just, and it's a weird bump. It was about 50,000 to about 90,000. And that's a very big jump for any grad assistant, executive assistant, whatever you want to call them. That's a little bit big of a jump and is going to draw some eyes. Now, the other part that kind of gets a little dirty about this whole thing is that allegedly, or it's being reported, that Michigan had investigated not only this over the summer, this alleged relationship that had occurred, but they were also investigating other times that Sherrone Moore may have been inappropriate. It's also being reported that allegedly Sherrone Moore was DMing OnlyFans models and Instagram models throughout this whole thing as well, that has led to this. And then you want to believe this, because I couldn't believe it, because every time I, kind of tune into this whole shenanigans and everything, or every time I would open up X or anything, it would just get dirtier and dirtier and messier and messier. And it continued to, because not only did those investigations go on, but then it's being reported by, where is that video? By Josh Pate. And I do want to go ahead and watch this one real quick.
Be coming open for several weeks now. That's been expected behind the scenes.
That's crazy.
Therefore, just because they made the move today and it is December 10th does not mean anyone's being caught off guard about this on December 10th.
So essentially all he is saying is that they knew this was going to happen. Something like this was going to happen, and this job was going to be available. Was it going to be for performance, and were they going to buy him out, or was it going to be because they had something like this in the back pocket that they ended up knowing about? Which there are so many ways. I'm just going to get through everything that is alleged and evidence and everything, and then we're going to get into the takes. But after that, no, and that's all. I'm sorry, excuse me. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about there, the evidence I wanted to lay out at least. Because, again, I'm no lawyer. I'm not going to get into the law side of it. I'm not even going to try to crack that code if we're going to be completely honest, because it's a lot. It's a lot going on. And also, he obviously went through a breakdown. Like, that was a serious mental breakdown he did. He's head coach of one of the biggest schools in college football. And again, due to his own actions and due to his own ineptitude, he got himself into this situation and is now facing the backlash. But the sports aspect of it, where does Michigan go from here? Where does Michigan go from here? We're just getting on the other side of a different type of cheating scandal. And now here we are with this cheating scandal. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and it's crazy that this continues to happen at Michigan. And, you've probably seen the stats and everything like that. What is it? 11 staffers have either been arrested, which is 7 of them, or banned from the sport of football for rules violations, 4 of them, since Jim Harbaugh arrived. A lot of those coming from the Connor Stallions. The other stuff is a lot of murky stuff and a lot of bad stuff that I don't like talking about. That's why I talk about sports. But at the end of the day, Michigan is not in a good place. They're not in a good place with football. They're not in a good place with the athletic department in general. I mean, reports are coming out that, Michigan is essentially radioactive. You know what I mean? This is not a job that anyone wants. This is not a job that anyone wants to touch, because they believe the issues are coming from within the building and how it's being run. And the AD ain't doing himself any favors right now. Xavier, it's crazy, bro. That's what I'm going to tell you right now, brother. It's crazy. It's nothing that we've seen in a long time. And the fact that everything continues to happen at Michigan has to make you scratch your head. And I think the AD does need to be fired. If there was evidence of this in the past and he didn't act on it or anything like that, that's going to be an issue. If it was known before the Ohio State game, and why I say the Ohio State game, because not only is Josh Pate reporting on this the week after, that it was kind of well known that this Michigan job was going to be open, but Rich Eisen also going on the air and mentioning, like, after 90 minutes, he was very specific. He said 90 minutes after Ohio State beat Michigan, 4 times, 4 different people told him that job was going to be going up, and that something along these lines was going to happen around Sherrone Moore. And so the fact that, you let him play this out and everything, and maybe everything kind of escalated this week. Maybe Sherrone felt that, people were going to catch on or were catching on, and decided to fire the girl, cover his tracks, and it didn't work out the way he did. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very sad situation, not only for Michigan, but for, the family of Sherrone Moore, his wife and 3 kids, this girl who, again, she is a part of the decision-making process, but her life is, marked with this now. But hey, I'm just saying what was alleged, Ashton. That's all I'm doing. I'm not really taking one side one way or the other. At the end of the day, it's just bad what's happened. You know what I mean? I'm just going off of what I've read, what I've heard, and what everyone's talking about. That's what I'm going off of. And from what I've been hearing, it would not be surprising to me if Michigan did know before Wednesday or knew something of this was going on. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's sad. It's a sad position that everyone is in, and it's terrible. But, I hate to be that guy, but let's regroup. And what are we talking about next? Who's Michigan's next head coach? Because right now, everyone at Michigan, any shot caller, anyone who's donating money, anyone who has any type of influence at the Big Blue is throwing in their 2 cents about who should be the head coach, why they should be the head coach. And the names that continue to pop up that I've been hearing consistently, at least, Kenny Dillingham, Brian Kelly, Jed Fish, and Manny Ramirez. And of all of those, I'm a big Kenny Dillingham guy. I think what he has done with ASU is incredible. I'm a U of A guy. I'm a U of A guy. And so for me to give anyone at Arizona State any, credit whatsoever or any flowers, that's a big move for me as a person. And so I do just want that noted. But seriously, what he has been able to do in the last couple of years, unbelievable at Arizona State. And now he's in an interesting position where he's got Sam Levitt and a lot of other of his top guys in the transfer portal, they're going to be moving off and seeing what's going on next. And now, this opportunity opens up. One of the best jobs in the world, Michigan, a team and a program in general that could use a little bit of youth, a little bit of fiery in him, and I know Harbaugh was a fiery guy and everything like that, but at the end of the day, sometimes that doesn't work out. It worked out, but it worked out too well that he's now in the NFL. Kenny Dillingham, I think he would be a guy that's going to be at Michigan for the next 5-10 years and then maybe move on to the NFL. But he's not a one and done in the natty type of thing. Ooh, saw multiple players follow Kenny, and he follows some of them back. I've been saying since this whole news broke, besides, again, the drama and the legal stuff going on behind and the lives that have been terribly changed after all of this, that Kenny Dillingham is the perfect person for this job. And the situation at Arizona State right now, it makes too much sense for that to happen. I do think Kenny Dillingham has a very good shot. And I understand why people are like, well, it's not going to be Dillingham. It's not going to be Dillingham. He has been very vocal about the fact that he does not want to leave Arizona State. And I understand that, and I get that. But you start offering a job like Michigan, you start offering that money behind Michigan, the resources behind Michigan that Arizona State won't use on football or on any sport, if we're going to be completely honest. It's crazy. And Ashton, I know I feel you. Kalen over Kenny. Kenny over Kalen. I don't think you have anything to worry about with Kalen. Kalen DeBoer is not a name that I see going to Michigan or leaving Alabama anytime soon. Why would he leave Alabama? Why? And I understand Alabama fans are bitching and moaning, but they're bitching and moaning because he's not a carbon copy of Nick Saban. That's the only thing that would make Alabama fans happy, was if he was a carbon copy of Nick Saban and produced those results immediately. But let's look at the facts. They've had 2 winning seasons. They were in the SEC championship this year. They've made 2 playoff appearances. Doesn't matter how they got in, but they got in. Kalen DeBoer's not going anywhere. Nobody a part of that program wants him out. It's just these crazy fans that think he can be Saban, and he might be Saban one day. But brother just got there. Give him a little bit. Let's not forget the seismic shift that we had in the coaching and in the college football world when Nick Saban retired late into the offseason. And so, again, I think Kalen DeBoer has done nothing but good things at Alabama. I know a lot of Alabama fans are going to disagree with me, but he's done very well at Alabama, and I think he's going to continue to do well, not only in Alabama, in the SEC and everything. And I would not be shocked in the next 5 years if he's competing for a natty and wins a natty. That's the kind of coach he is. I think Kenny's the guy. I think that's the guy really Michigan should go after. And I'm not just saying that because I want Kenny Dillingham out of the state of Arizona so I don't have to worry about him during football season. But what he has proven at Arizona State, a school that's not a football school, a school that, doesn't value that as much. And then going to a school where that's all that matters, basketball and football. Yeah, I'm going to take that job, especially with all the resources. We know how much Dave Portnoy paid for Bryce Underwood to be on the team. And I like, you got that type of money coming in for just one player from one guy. That pot has got to be deep. You can build a hell of a football team. And so I think Kenny would be a very good option. But if it is Kenny Dillingham, I don't think we hear anything until after bowl games, because Kenny's that kind of a guy. You know what I mean? Business. Keep the main thing about the main thing. Kenny would make sure that he keeps the main thing about the main thing. And so he's going to wait, and he would wait until after the bowl game. Michigan would wait after the bowl game, and then they would come out with that news. But that's how I think that would go. It's crazy, though. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're reaching out to Urban. They're reaching out to Nick Saban. They're just making them say no. And I think those guys are kind of out of the question. I think Urban especially is out of the question. I know it's only 4 years removed from when he kicked his own kicker and got fired from the NFL before the season was even halfway over. So let's not forget about that. I don't think Myers is up for any, serious coaching job at any point. I know John Gruden's name's been thrown around there. It seems like he still kind of has a black mark in the coaching world and in the football world. So I'm not expecting him going to hire somebody within the next 5 to 10 days. Ashton, I think they need to. I think they absolutely need to, brother. I'm not going to disagree with you there. Again, I'm going to be interested to see if it is Dillingham, how he handles that, and how he goes about it. It will be fascinating. But at the end of the day, hope Sherrone Moore gets the help he needs. Clearly, he needs help. Hope he gets the help he needs, and the justice is served the way it needs to be done. Again, just a sad and awful situation going on there in Michigan with this whole situation that now leads us to, well, let's talk football. Who the fuck's going to take over this position and this absolute train wreck right now of a program? And it's unbelievable to say that, but it is a train wreck of a program right now. You know what I mean? You got your head coach doing all of this and shit. I mean, it's crazy. All right, a Michigan Insider. Hey, I'll be keeping an eye out, and I'll be putting out a video once it's out. Don't worry, because that's a huge job that's available. Whether it is toxic because of who's in power right now or not is up for debate, but it's a big job that a coach is definitely going to take a bite at. And I think it's going to be Ken Dillingham over a Brian Kelly. I do think Jed Fish would probably be the second option there, not just for Michigan, but just who I see, who has that kind of a reputation, who would jump ship this late into the offseason and move over there. I think Manny Ramirez is probably staying, but Jed Fish, Kenny Dillingham, the two guys I'm definitely looking at for that Michigan job. Where did I want to go next? Keep it in the college football world. We're going to go to the college football playoff because someone is unhappy. And of course, it's Notre Dame. And you can go ahead and have your arguments. You can go ahead and have your beliefs. Personally, I do think Notre Dame should have been in the playoff. I understand the head-to-head and everything, but I do believe that Notre Dame is a better team overall and would have been competitive in this college football playoff. And this is such a weird thing because now after everything that's happened, after, the ADs, trading blows over everything and who said what and who was hurting who, it has turned into a big he said, she said type of thing. And now reports coming out that Notre Dame has a memorandum of understanding that grants the Irish preferential playoff access starting next year, essentially guaranteeing them a spot or making them look in a different favorable light when it comes to the college football playoff. And now athletic directors are talking about freezing out Notre Dame of future scheduling. Interesting situation. And everyone, this might be a hot take. I'm not sure, but I'm not of the opinion that Notre Dame needs to join a conference. I really don't. And, usually Michigan does play a hard schedule. And this year, not as hard. But you got to remember, they're booking teams years and years in advance. It's not like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and put together the schedule. No, they've had this plan for years and years. How do you know if a team's going to be good? How do you know if a team's going to be bad? Not their fault that their two hardest games are right in the beginning of the season. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I think they're fine in football as an independent. And I don't get the reason why they should go with a conference. I don't understand it. And I know they're closely associated with the ACC and everything. That relationship seems to be completely strained and completely done. But I don't get I don't like that they have, an automatic bid into the playoff, obviously. I think that's dumb. I think that's stupid. And I think it really hurts the reputation. Do I understand the Irish wanting something in writing that maybe they get preferential treatment? Absolutely. I mean, you think about it, like, they shouldn't be. Miami should not be in and over them. It comes down to that. Miami should not be in and over them. That is a sacrificial lamb going to slaughter Miami coming up in the next couple of weeks. Notre Dame has a reasonable gripe. Now, do I think they should have pulled out of a bowl game? Do I think that maybe they're acting a little bit childish? Yeah, absolutely. Heat of the moment and everything like that. I can kind of get behind that, but not really. Not a great look for the university overall. But I think they should stay independent as a football school. I really do. I really do. It's part of college football. It's part of the history. It's part of what makes it college football. And why would we take that away? Because a bunch of people are getting pissy. And don't get me wrong, it's legally forced Notre Dame. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. I'm not with it, though. I'm not with it. I think they should stay independent. Let's keep some tradition in college football, like Notre Dame being independent. I see you. Honest to God, I see UConn joining a conference in college football before Notre Dame. And that deal that Notre Dame has with NBC, I mean, there is no reason money wise for them to join a conference. It's just playoffs. And then that goes to my next argument. Why do we pretend that it's these, ADs and everything that make the decision for the college football playoff? Like, why do we pretend that that's still what's happened? I think we just go ahead and we do what it really is, which is, the TV networks. Get the TV networks in a room and figure this shit out, because it doesn't make sense. We all know that it was ESPN really vouching for Miami to get that last spot over Notre Dame, because they have the rights to the college football playoff. They have the rights to the SEC, the ACC, et cetera, et cetera. It makes people want to tune in more to the other side. And Notre Dame's fine. And again, financially, they're fine. They're not hurting. It's just them missing college football playoff. Is that enough to make them join a conference? I'm not 100% convinced it is. I think they like their independence. I think they like they're doing whatever they're doing. But them to eliminate it. Yeah, it was shocking, bro. It was shocking. Spark notes. Notre Dame, very sad they didn't make the college football playoff. Notre Dame accused ACC of running a smear campaign against them on social media and on TV and everything like that. Notre Dame says, that sucks. We're fucking done with the ACC. ACC comes back and says, hey, that's rude. Other ADs come back and say, hey, that's rude. Notre Dame comes out and says, well, it doesn't matter. We essentially have entry into the next college football playoff and every college football playoff to come. And now other ADs are like, that's cool. We just won't schedule any games with you. No one will schedule any games with you. And how are you going to get into the college football playoff if you don't play any football games? How are you going to do that? And how are you going to have a compelling argument to get into the college football playoff if you end up playing, mid-majors in D2 schools, FCS schools? How are you going to have that argument? And unfortunately, if the college football playoff committee and the ADs and other places want this to happen, this unfortunately is a great way to make it happen. With that being said, I am getting older. I do like nostalgia, and Notre Dame being independent is just what they've always done. I don't think we should try to make it happen. No, not because they'll make their schedule easy. No. The college football playoff committee sent a memorandum saying essentially like, hey, we know we kind of screwed you guys this year, but we'll go ahead and, make sure that you're in. And the ADs are saying, the ADs of the Power 4, excuse me. The ADs of the Power 4, the big schools that you know and love, are saying, that's fine. We just won't schedule you. So any team in the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, they're not going to schedule them. And so they would end up playing, FCS schools. And so what? You're going to tell me a win over Arkansas State or, Southern Eastern Missouri is the same as USC playing Michigan or something like that? It's just not. And so the college football playoff committee would have to say, well, we're just throwing them in there because they're Notre Dame, even though they haven't played jack shit anyone this season. And that's the threat. And that's why it's kind of pushing Notre Dame to going to a conference and to making that switch to a conference. So it's putting them in an interesting situation. But again, the amount of money that Notre Dame gets from NBC to solely have the rights to their football games is astronomical. If you go undefeated, how do you? Because we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. Level of competition is what it's about at the end of the day, and the name brand is what it's about. Notre Dame can go undefeated in the FCS, but they have absolutely no reason to be involved in an FBS college football playoff at the end of the day. And that's the sad thing about it. Oh, right. Notre Dame would have fit perfectly in the ACC. And the rumors coming out now that they're probably going to be working with the Big 12, I'm a fan of that. As an Arizona fan, I would love to see Notre Dame because we get a win over Notre Dame. That's going to immediately, and we're having a good season, that's immediately going to put our name into the playoff. And so a lot of moving pieces here. I think we won't really see the effects of this until after the playoff and all the dust settles, because we're going to watch, Tulane and JMU pretty much get belt to ass in next weekend. And that's just how it works out. And I think more changes are coming to the playoffs again. As I have said multiple times on the show, college football, how it looks last year, how it looks today, how it looks next year is all going to be so different in the next 5-10 years. No one really knows where it's going from there. And no one really knows where it's going from here. We're just hanging on for the ride at this point. Triple L, no problem, brother. No problem at all. Glad to break it down because it's wild shit. It is wild shit. But hey, we're here for it. We're here for it. What did I want to talk about next? Oh, that's right. Holy shit. Some somewhat exciting news coming out from this whole streaming bullshit. Early next year, YouTube TV is going to announce packages. Different packages that you can go ahead and buy. And so the big one, obviously, that is on my feed and that I'm excited about is the sports package, where you just watch the sports that you want, ESPN, FS, Fox Sports, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously does not come with, Sunday Ticket or anything like that. Those are still going to be add-ons, but still a good add-on. I think it's still good because I think it cuts back a little bit on what you have to buy versus what you have to buy. And if you just have YouTube TV so you can watch the live games, this is going to give you a little bit of relief there. It's going to be a conversation I have with my wife, if I'm going to be completely honest. Do we really need all of YouTube, or do we have enough on other streaming services where we can cut back and just get my sports package and everything like that? I'm a big fan of it. So let's go. Ooh. Great question from the chat. Do I think the Pac-12 will be revived successfully? RIP the Pac-12. Bear down, go Cats. That was a fun time. It was just such a shitty ran conference. Just so shitty. I mean, all of our games are after the 5 p.m., but we're going to have our own network. It never made sense to me. I think there's a chance the Pac-12 will be revived successfully. I think it's going to take about 10 years for it to have the same prestige and the same, kind of aura that it had. But it'll, it's college sports and everything is going up and to the right. Xavier, what do I think about Sunday Ticket? I have Sunday Ticket. I love Sunday Ticket personally. And you can ask my wife. I've got, 4 screens up. I got my laptop up. I've got another screen up. I got a projector running. Like, brother, we are locked in on Sundays. Like, let's be real. But no, I think it's absolutely great. And I think the fact that it's on YouTube TV, and again, I'm a YouTube TV subscriber, and so I'm a little biased on the whole situation, but I think it works great. And I think what they're able to offer you with YouTube TV and Sunday Ticket with the quad boxes and everything like that, it works out great. And I'm not a red zone guy whatsoever. I'm not a big red zone guy. Dude, I remember when I used to use cable too. Doesn't that feel like a century and a half ago though? Crazy shit. And slowly everything is going back to cable. Crazy how stuff goes in cycles, isn't it? Crazy. But I do want to change it up a little bit because it is the MLB offseason, and that means we have winter meetings, and that means trades and signings are happening. And I want to talk about my personal favorite signings of the week. There are 2 of them that made me very, very happy because it made a team that I absolutely hate even worse. And you got to be a big fan when that happens. You got to take the small victories, and that is exactly what I'm doing. Because it seems like those New York Mets, the Metropolitans, don't have the money they used to have to pay players. Don't you remember a couple of years ago when Cohen was going out and paying everybody under the sun just a fuck ton of money to come and play baseball for the New York Mets? And then, do you remember when they went ahead and sold half of their team at the trade deadline, and then they continued to make it happen? Yeah. Dodgers go ahead and sign Edwin Diaz, and then the biggest shocker to me, Pete Alonso goes to the Baltimore Orioles. And the Orioles have been I'm a big fan of what the Orioles have been doing the last couple of years. Last year, not as successful as 2 years ago, but they've still been able to put good stuff together. Pete Alonso, I think, is going to be a good addition. I think he's going to have a nice bounce back year. Totally agree with you guys. Yeah, MLB is about to lock out, and that's why we're going to see some of these teams like the Dodgers, just make some of these big signings and spend the money and everything like that. Definitely a lockout is coming. Here's my issue with the lockout coming. Here's my issue, and it's inevitable that we're going to get to a lockout. I do want to go ahead and make that clear. I do think we will get to a lockout in the MLB. Side note, I think the WNBA is heading for a lockout as well. That's another conversation for later. My issue with the MLB lockout is that the wrong thing is being talked about. Everyone and their mom is talking about salary cap this, salary cap that, yada, yada, yada. No, that's not the issue here. Let's have a salary floor. Because I'm sorry, if someone, is... I've never gotten the salary cap argument in baseball. You know what I mean? It works great for other sports. I don't think it works good in baseball. Baseball has been this way for a long time and will be this way and continue to be this way. What a salary cap does is encourages bad teams and bad owners and owners that don't spend money, owners that don't sign those contracts. It makes them, complacent. Because they know they're going to sell some tickets. They know they're going to sell some concessions. They know they're going to get their TV rights. They know they're going to get, some jersey sales, et cetera, et cetera. They'll get lucky in the draft and, bring someone in, or they'll sign a big name that's, late in their career and bring them in for ticket sales, whatever. The salary floor is the answer. We need to, and I hate to say this, we need to price out these cheap fucking owners. We really do. What's been happening with the White Sox, the Colorado Rockies, Baltimore Orioles for years, not the Brewers, excuse me, but the Marlins, et cetera. We need to stop these shitty. Yes, the Pirates. Thank you. That's the team I was missing. But why are we allowing these owners that don't care about their teams, don't care about winning, don't care about baseball, own a team and pay the absolute bare minimum to the players and to a roster that they can quote unquote afford? Oh, well, we don't have the money to pay players because no one shows up to the game. No one shows up to the games because you don't fucking win. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? Before, after COVID, I remember the times I could go to a Diamondbacks game for $5-7. You know what I mean? An afternoon matinee game, I could go for $5-7. But then what happened? The Diamondbacks start winning. And what happens when the Diamondbacks start winning? More people want to show up. What happens when more people want to show up? The ticket prices go up. What happens when the ticket prices go up? The owners make more money. And we can afford to sign our young superstar in Corbin Carroll. We can afford to sign Ketel Marte, Zach Gallen, etc., Corbin Burns, etc., etc. That's the formula for baseball. Families want to go to baseball games. Fans want to go to baseball games. We just don't want to sit there and support shitty teams with shitty owners, with shitty GMs who don't care as much as we care. And that's the long and the short of it. And so let's do the right thing. Let's price them out of this bullshit. Get them out of ownership and get it done. Gurr, thank you for the follow, brother. Appreciate you, dog. Exactly. Oakland as well. Oh, the Reds as well, too. Go ahead. Keep throwing out names because it's unbelievable. And, you look at teams like the Pirates and the Reds who have such young talent in Paul Skeens and Ellie De La Cruz. And what have they done with that talent? Jack shit. They have done jack shit with any of it, and it doesn't look like they're going to do anything with it anyway. And that's why all the conversations, especially when it comes around Paul Skeens, is, oh, well, Paul Skeens is going to look good in pinstripes or he's going to look good in Dodger blue. It's one of the two. Exactly. Aiden, I'm right there with you, brother. It's ridiculous. So thankful to be. Oh, get out of here, Gurr. I'm sick of the Padres doing well. Makes me sick. Sick to my stomach. Go D-backs. Yeah, Reds didn't get Schwarber, so they were going to pursue. Yeah, sure. Sure, they will. I'll believe that when I see it. Hey, go Cubs, though. I'll tell you, hey, go Cubbies. Cubbies looking good. I'm excited for the Cubbies so far. I think they need TBH. I think they need a little help at mid reliever, but then again, who doesn't in the MLB need help at mid reliever? But the last couple of years, I've been excited for Cubs seasons, and I'm excited for another Cubs season coming up. That's for damn sure. For damn sure. Oh, also, shout out to Kyle Schwarber. Essentially, I'm announcing that he is going to retire a Philly with a 5-year, $150 million deal. Not shocking to me that Schwarber is staying in Philly. Not shocking to me that they're going to pay him. Fan favorite. He's one of those core guys. And let's be real, he's an absolute dog. Love Schwarbs. But last thing I kind of want to cover, and this is a personal one for me. I'll be honest, this is a personal one for me, and not something that, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I've really accepted it yet. But here we go. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. Tomorrow night, live on Peacock, Saturday night main event. John Cena in his final match against Gunther. Tomorrow night, main event, John Cena, going to be calling it a career after this. If you haven't watched this show much, you might not know this, but I was a professional wrestler for about 6 years here on the Arizona independent wrestling scene. And it was some of the most fun I have. But again, the reason I got into wrestling, and a lot of people got into wrestling, they're drawn by what the spectacle is, the pageantry, the matches, and everything like that, the drama. And then you're drawn to the figures. They're drawn to the characters of what are pro wrestlers and who they are. And when John Cena went on that screen, the first time I ever watched pro wrestling, I couldn't take my eyes off because he had it. He had everything, and he is and will forever be one of the best to ever do it, not only in the ring and on the microphone, behind the scenes, in the charity world. His work is second to none. And personally, from me, John Cena, thank you very much. Not only for what you've done in your career and the heights you have taken professional wrestling to, being part of the reason that professional wrestling is now so much in the mainstream, but also for putting your body on the line, going through the damage that is professional wrestling, and making the dates, making the travel, making sure that everyone who bought a ticket to see you saw you. And it's never goodbye. It's always see you later. But this does seem different. I really don't think we will see John Cena in another wrestling ring again. This doesn't feel like one of those, I have to retire because of injury. I have to retire because of. He is simply retiring, it seems like, just to close this chapter on his life and what was the WWE that brought him to this superstardom and everything. And as a wrestling fan, at its core, what he has done in this final year of service to the WWE has truly been one of the more entertaining, head-scratching ones that I've thought of in a long time. From his heel turn to his face turn to now having his final match with Gunther. And if you want my honest opinion and what I really think is going to happen tomorrow night, I do think John Cena lays down and looks up the lights one more time and turns it over to Gunther with a 1-2-3. I think Gunther wins tomorrow. I think he wins clean. And just to drop some pro wrestling, knowledge on you, that is what the tradition is. The tradition is when you are leaving a company, you got to set someone else up to be the next guy. Roman Reigns doesn't need that kind of a rub. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, those guys don't need it. Seth Rollins, they don't need that kind of a rub. Gunther, though, has kind of been sitting there on the outside looking in. And honestly, I think it is poetic justice what John Cena will do tomorrow night when he does take the 1-2-3. And I do think that is how it should end on John Cena's illustrious, incredible career. Again, John, thank you very much for your service in the professional wrestling industry and the entertainment business. Excited to see what happens next, but incredible work. And I will definitely be watching John Cena's final match tomorrow night on Saturday night main event, excuse me. But yeah, that's all I got. Hey, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube, X, TikTok, Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. But with all of that being said, good luck. God bless. I will be live tomorrow morning talking some college football, college basketball. Excuse me. I got to get used to saying that. But I'll see you guys next time on Degenerate Takes.